In 1977, millions of Roosevelt dimes were struck by the United States Mint in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint has its own unique identifying letter: D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and traditionally, none for Philadelphia. But here's where it gets interesting. The Philadelphia Mint did start adding a P mint mark to dimes beginning in 1980. That means before then, Philadelphia dimes didn't have a mint mark at all. So at first glance, a 1977 dime with no mint mark doesn't sound strange. But wait, this story isn't about the ordinary Philadelphia dimes. The 1977 no mint mark dime that's worth nearly $1 million was never supposed to exist. It wasn't struck in Philadelphia. It was struck in San Francisco, where every dime should have an S mint mark, because those coins were proof coins made specifically for collectors. Somehow, a few coins escaped the minting process without that S. They were released into circulation by mistake. Imagine that for a second. Somewhere in 1977, someone spent a proof coin, meant for collectors, on a soda, a bus ride, or maybe a pack of gum. That dime disappeared into circulation, looking almost identical to every other dime in your change jar. Decades later, collectors realized what they were holding wasn't ordinary at all. It was a ghost coin, a minting error so rare that only a few examples are known to exist. And that's where the magic begins. When the first of these 1977 no mint mark proof dimes surfaced, it caused a sensation in the numismatic world. Collectors went into a frenzy, scouring their coin collections, estate sales, and old jars of change, hoping to uncover one of these elusive coins. The rarity was off the charts. Proof coins missing mint marks are virtually unheard of. Only a handful have ever been confirmed. The value skyrocketed. In a major auction, one pristine example of the 1977 no mint mark Roosevelt dime sold for an astounding $456,000. And since then, its estimated market value has only risen, now reaching as high as $855,000. Just imagine, $855,000 for a 10-cent coin. That's an increase in value of over 8.5 million%. Pause for a moment and think about that. You could be holding the equivalent of a small fortune right now and not even know it. Here's what makes this coin so fascinating. It's not flashy. It doesn't gleam like gold, and it doesn't have a dramatic design. It's subtle, quiet, and easy to overlook. The difference between an ordinary dime and this rare treasure is smaller than the width of a fingernail. That's the power of knowledge. That's the power of paying attention. But why are collectors willing to pay such outrageous sums for something so small? It comes down to a perfect storm of rarity, history, and human curiosity. Minting errors, especially on proof coins, are anomalies, like lightning striking twice in the same spot. They're not supposed to happen, and when they do, they become instant legends. Each coin tells a story of imperfection, of something slipping through the cracks of a perfectly engineered system. That's what gives it soul. Now you might be wondering, could I have one of these coins sitting in my collection right now? That's the million-dollar question. If you've ever inherited an old coin collection, kept a jar of coins from your grandparents, or even just held on to your pocket change from the 1970s or 1980s, you owe it to yourself to look. Check your 1977 dimes, especially any that appear shiny, mirror-like, and flawless, almost as if they were never meant to be spent. Proof coins have that distinctive mirror finish, with frosted designs and mirror-like backgrounds. And here's the key. If it's a 1977 dime that looks proof-like and has no S mint mark, don't spend it. Don't even touch it too much. You might be holding one of the rarest coins in modern American history. But there's a twist. You see, the coin market has its highs and lows, just like real estate or the stock market. Prices fluctuate depending on demand, condition, and timing. Right now, we're in an exciting era for rare coins. Collectors, investors, and even hedge funds are quietly pouring money into rare numismatics. They see these coins not just as collectibles, but as tangible assets, small, portable pieces of American history that can outperform traditional investments. And that brings us to something most people overlook. Coins like the 1977 no mint mark dime aren't just about luck. They're about awareness. You can't find something if you don't know what you're looking for. There's an old saying among coin collectors: the rarest coins are the ones hiding in plain sight. Maybe right now, as you listen to this, there's a jar of coins in your kitchen cabinet or a box of change sitting in your attic. Maybe you've been planning to cash them in at a Coinstar machine. Stop, don't do that yet. Take the time to go through them carefully, one by one. You might not find the 1977 dime, but you might find something almost as rare. There are other coins out there with equally shocking stories. The 1943 copper penny worth over $1 million. The 1969 double-die penny valued at $126,000. Even a 1999 penny with a wide AM reverse can sell for thousands. But none of them quite capture the imagination like that 1977 dime, because it represents the possibility that even the smallest, most ordinary thing can hold extraordinary value. Here's something you should remember. Every rare coin discovery that made headlines started with someone who almost didn't look. Maybe they were about to toss the coin in a tip jar. Maybe they almost used it in a vending machine. But something stopped them, a hunch, a flash of curiosity, a gut feeling. And that moment of hesitation was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The truth is, we all dream of finding that one big win. But what most people miss is that opportunities like this often don't announce themselves. They whisper. They hide in everyday places. That's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about money. It's about awareness, patience, and the belief that your life can change from something as small as a dime. So how do you know if your coin might be valuable? Here's a quick breakdown. First, examine your 1977 dime closely under good lighting. If it looks shiny, mirror-like, and has a sharp, crisp design, it could be a proof coin. Next, check just above the date, between the torch and the rim, for a small letter. If you see an S, it's a normal San Francisco proof coin. But if there's no mint mark at all and the coin still looks proof-like, that's when things get exciting. If you think you found something unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Instead, place it in a soft holder or envelope and take it to a professional coin dealer. Or send it for grading through a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate it and tell you exactly what it's worth. And here's a bit of humor for you, because this part always makes people laugh nervously. Imagine finding a dime worth $855,000 and then realizing you used one just like it last week to pay for parking. That's the kind of regret you never forget. So yes, check your pockets. Seriously, you'll thank yourself later. Now, let's talk about why these coins have surged so much in value recently. Over the last decade, the demand for tangible assets, especially collectibles, has exploded. People are looking for real, physical stores of value in an uncertain world. Gold, silver, fine art, and yes, rare coins have become safe havens. The 1977 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime stands at the intersection of rarity, history, and beauty, making it one of the most sought-after modern coins on the planet. Collectors see it as a symbol of perfection, born from imperfection. Investors see it as a hedge against inflation. And for ordinary people like you and me, it represents possibility. What if the key to your next chapter isn't locked away in a vault or a stock portfolio, but sitting right there, jingling in your pocket? That's why so many Americans, people just like you, between 30 and 65, are rediscovering the world of coin collecting, not as a hobby, but as a lifestyle. It's the lifestyle of awareness, of wealth through wisdom, of recognizing that fortune often hides where few people bother to look. If you've ever dreamed of financial freedom, if you've ever wanted to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, this is your wake-up call. Don't wait for someone else to make the discovery you could have made today. Because every day that passes, another rare coin disappears into a vault. Another collector claims their prize, and another opportunity quietly fades away. The 1977 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. It's proof that paying attention can change your life. So after this video ends, take action. Go through your coins. Look for the details. Share this story with someone you care about, because who knows? Maybe they're holding one of these rare treasures and don't even know it. And remember this, wealth doesn't always start with millions in the bank. Sometimes it starts with a dime, Because the next rare coin discovery, the next $855,000 miracle, could be sitting right in your hand, waiting for you to notice. So go ahead. Check your change. You might just be holding your future. Before we dive deep, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your change? Not for quarters or pennies, but really looked at what's hiding there? Sometimes life's biggest fortunes don't come from the stock market, real estate, or lottery tickets. Sometimes they're jingling quietly in your pocket. The story of the 1984 Roosevelt dime begins not with glamour, but with a factory floor at the Philadelphia Mint. It was a year of massive coin production, billions of dimes rolling off the presses, indistinguishable from one another. Or so it seemed. The 1984 P. Roosevelt dime is ordinary on the surface. A simple blend of copper and nickel, 10 cents in value, bearing the face of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a symbol of hope and resilience. But then, there were the errors. And those errors, rare, beautiful, unpredictable, are what transformed a few small pieces of metal into priceless treasures. Imagine this: a slight misalignment in the die, a double strike, or a minting anomaly so subtle it escaped the eyes of quality inspectors. These imperfections are what make collectors' hearts race and wallets open wide. You might wonder, how does a dime become worth almost $900,000? It's not about what it cost to make, but what it represents. Rarity, condition, historical value, and collector demand combine like alchemy. Each element adds a layer of mystery and desire. Picture this. Somewhere in a quiet suburb, a man named Robert sits at his kitchen table, flipping through an old coin album he inherited from his father. Between the worn Lincoln cents and a few tarnished nickels, he finds a 1984 Roosevelt dime. He almost skips past it, until he notices that tiny P. He looks closer, compares it to pictures online, and suddenly his hands start shaking. It's a near-perfect mint error, one of only a handful ever documented. Months later, it's appraised and auctioned off for hundreds of thousands of dollars. One small moment changed his life forever. But here's the question that keeps coin collectors awake at night. Could there be more of these out there? Hidden in boxes, forgotten in drawers, waiting in a dusty piggy bank? That's the thrill and the fear. The fear of letting go of something priceless without ever knowing it. Now let's pause for a moment. When you think about your own coins, maybe you're tempted to brush them off. After all, they're just old change, right? But what if that junk drawer in your kitchen is actually your retirement plan in disguise? What if that old coffee can full of dimes could pay for your dream home, your grandkids' college, or that road trip you've been putting off for years? Here's a fun fact to reset your brain a bit. Did you know that more people have found valuable coins by accident than by deliberate hunting? Imagine buying a soda, getting your change, and walking away with a fortune in your palm. It's almost comical. Who knew the most profitable investment of your life could cost you less than $1? Let's dive into what makes the 1984 P. Roosevelt dime so extraordinary. There are several key things collectors look for: the mint mark, strike quality, and overall condition. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which began adding mint marks to dimes starting in 1980. But what makes this particular year special are the rare variants, especially those with double dies or striking errors. Experts estimate that only a handful of flawless examples remain in circulation or private collections. One such specimen, graded at the highest possible mint state, was appraised at a staggering $849,000. And here's the kicker. It started life as an ordinary dime. That's the magic of numismatics, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary. But how can you tell if your dime is one of the lucky few? Start by looking at the details. Check for sharpness in the lettering, a clean and bright surface with no signs of wear, and a distinct P mint mark. Then look for any strange doubling in the numbers, especially in the 1984 date. Even the faintest irregularity can multiply its value exponentially. Many people don't realize how small mistakes in minting can lead to enormous profits. Think of it this way. In the world of collectibles, perfection is predictable. But rarity? That's the wild card that changes everything. And the 1984 P dime is the ultimate wild card. Now let's shift gears for a moment. Maybe you're thinking, all right, I get it. These coins are valuable, but how do I cash in? Great question. The truth is, knowing what you have is the first step to wealth. The second is knowing where to sell. Reputable coin dealers, certified auction houses, and grading services like PCGS or NGC are your best allies. But be careful. There are scammers who prey on beginners. Always verify credentials before you hand over anything, and here's where the emotional part comes in. You might be holding on to coins that belong to a parent or grandparent. They're more than metal, they're memories, history, legacy. Selling them isn't just a transaction, it's an emotional journey. But when you understand their true worth, you're honoring that legacy by giving it the value it deserves. Let me tell you a story that might just inspire you. A woman in Oregon discovered a jar of coins her late husband had collected. She was ready to donate them, thinking they were worth maybe $50 in total. But she decided to have them appraised first, just in case. Among them, a 1984 P. Roosevelt dime in mint state. That little coin sold at auction for over $800,000. That one decision changed her financial future forever. If that doesn't make you want to check your old coin stash right now, I don't know what will. But before you rush off, let's talk strategy. Not all dimes are created equal. The condition of your coin, what collectors call grade, can make or break its value. A circulated coin might fetch a few dollars, but an uncirculated, flawless specimen can soar into 6 or 7 figures. That's why preservation matters. Handle your coins with care, avoid touching them directly, and store them in protective holders. Think of it as guarding your hidden fortune. Here's something most people overlook: timing. The coin market, much like real estate or stocks, moves in cycles. When the demand for rare U.S. coins spikes, prices can skyrocket overnight. Right now, the numismatic world is experiencing one of those golden windows. Collectors are paying record prices for high-quality specimens, and the 1984 P. Roosevelt dime is one of the hottest items on the list. So ask yourself, will you be the one who seizes the opportunity or the one who looks back with regret? The clock is ticking, and every day more of these coins vanish into private collections, never to reappear. Let's inject a quick pattern interrupt here. Imagine explaining to your friends that your millionaire status came from a 10-cent coin. Yeah, I didn't invest in crypto or stocks. I just checked my pocket change. You can almost hear the stunned silence. It sounds funny, but it's real. Wealth doesn't always announce itself with flashing lights. It whispers in small silver circles. And if you're wondering what separates the dreamers from the doers, it's simple: action. The people who find life-changing coins are the ones who look. They take out their magnifying glass, they examine every detail, and they do their homework. Success leaves clues, literally etched into metal. Now let's circle back to that emotional spark we started with, the idea that your fortune might already be in your hands. Think about what financial freedom would mean to you. No more debt, no more waiting for someday. Maybe it's helping your family, retiring early, or traveling the world. All from a single coin most people would overlook. This is your wake-up call. The next time you see a 1984 dime with a P mint mark, don't dismiss it. Examine it. Research it. Value it. Because behind that small, unassuming coin could lie your ticket to a new chapter of abundance. And here's the final twist: the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. Experts believe there are still undiscovered 1984 P. Roosevelt dimes with rare errors circulating in the United States. That means that even now as you watch this, someone might be holding one unknowingly. Maybe it's sitting in your purse. Maybe it's resting in a jar on your dresser, or maybe it's still waiting to be found in your next handful of change. So here's the challenge. After this video, go search. Go through your old jars, your drawers, your boxes. Check every dime, because one of them could be the one that changes your life forever. And if you find it, remember, you heard it here first. A dime worth a fortune, a story worth telling, and a future worth chasing. Because sometimes wealth doesn't come from finding new opportunities. It comes from finally seeing the value in what's been there all along. It's a story of rarity, discovery, and the incredible power of attention to detail. Because in the world of rare coins, every scratch, mint mark, and microscopic imperfection can mean the difference between pocket change and generational wealth. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this small piece of metal has collectors and investors fighting to own it, and how you can find out if you're sitting on a small fortune yourself. But before we go deeper, let's pause for a second. Think about this. How many times have you handled dimes without even looking at them? Hundreds? Thousands? What if you already had one of these hidden treasures pass right through your fingers? That tiny realization, that mix of excitement and regret, is exactly what drives treasure hunters and collectors alike. Back in 1989, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes. On the surface, they looked like every other dime ever made. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's dignified profile on one side, the torch and olive branch on the other. Nothing special, right? But here's where the plot twists. Among these countless dimes, a very small number were struck with errors so rare that they became numismatic gold. Some had double die obverse errors, meaning the design was struck twice, slightly offset, creating ghostly outlines of Roosevelt's features. Others had weak or missing mint marks, planche flaws, or even mirrored proof-like surfaces where they shouldn't exist. It's these tiny, almost invisible mistakes that have turned some 1989 P dimes into priceless collectibles. One such coin surfaced at auction in pristine condition, graded by experts at a near-perfect mint state 68. It sold for a staggering $841,000. Think about that. A 10-cent coin that could literally change your life overnight. Now, you might be wondering, how does a coin like that even survive for decades without being spent or damaged? That's the beauty of numismatics. Some coins slip into collections early, stored by chance or curiosity. Others are saved in mint sets or found years later in estate sales and old piggy banks. It's a reminder that the next life-changing discovery could be sitting quietly in your home right now. Let's step back in time for a moment. Picture the year 1989. George H.W. Bush had just become president. The Berlin Wall was on the verge of falling, and in the U.S., people were busy living their lives, unaware that some of the coins in their wallets were already destined for fame. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins, but only a few would slip through quality control in such a way that decades later, they'd be worth a small fortune. And here's where things get even more fascinating. Many collectors agree that the Roosevelt dime series doesn't always get the respect it deserves. It's seen as common, mundane, something you toss into a vending machine without thinking. But as seasoned collectors know, that's exactly where the opportunities hide, in plain sight. Now let's talk about what makes these coins so rare. The mint mark P indicates that the dime was struck in Philadelphia. Normally, Philadelphia coins don't command huge premiums unless they have unique features. But the 1989 P dimes that hit the jackpot have something extra. Flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and sometimes dramatic minting errors that make experts double-take. Collectors are particularly drawn to full bands, varieties, dimes where the horizontal lines on the torch's bands are perfectly defined. Achieving this level of sharpness is incredibly rare, especially after decades of circulation. And if your coin happens to be one of those with pristine full bands, no wear, no scratches, and exceptional luster, you're already holding something valuable. But when that's combined with an ultra-high mint state grade and an error variety, that's when prices explode. Here's the crazy part. Many people who own these rare coins have no idea. They might have been sitting in jars, drawers, or passed down through generations. A few lucky individuals stumbled across theirs during routine coin roll hunts or while cleaning out old estates. Imagine finding a dime worth $841,000 in an old coffee can. It sounds absurd until it actually happens. The market for rare coins is booming. With inflation rising and traditional investments feeling unstable, more people are turning to tangible assets, gold, silver, and yes, collectible coins. In the last few years alone, prices for top-graded Roosevelt dimes have surged. The demand for mint errors and rare conditions is stronger than ever, and the 1989 P Roosevelt dime has become a star among them, capturing the attention of serious investors and casual collectors alike. So what exactly should you look for? First, flip that dime over and check for the P mint mark located just above the year. Next, study the surfaces carefully under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look for doubling on the date or lettering, particularly around the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Check the torch's horizontal bands. Are they fully defined? Is there a mirror-like shine that sets your coin apart from the rest? Every small detail matters, and here's a tip that most people overlook. Sometimes the rarest coins don't even look perfect. Certain striking errors, off-center designs, misaligned dies, and unusual metal compositions can make a coin even more valuable. Don't assume damage automatically means worthlessness. In numismatics, what looks like a flaw might actually be a feature. Let's break the tension for a moment. Imagine explaining to your spouse that you just sold a dime for nearly $1 million. Honey, I told you saving spare change would pay off. They'd probably laugh until the check cleared. But jokes aside, this happens more often than you'd believe. Coins once dismissed as pocket change have fetched life-changing sums at auctions, turning ordinary collectors into overnight success stories. And yet, for every person who finds that hidden treasure, there are countless others who let opportunity slip away. That's the fear that keeps collectors searching. The idea that a fortune could be sitting inches from you right now, unseen, unclaimed. The sense of urgency this creates isn't about greed, it's about awareness. Because the window for discovering pristine 1989 P dimes in circulation is closing fast. Each year, more are lost, damaged, or melted down, pushing the surviving examples even higher in value. Here's where things get personal. Think about what a discovery like that could mean for you. Maybe it's freedom from debt, an early retirement, or the ability to finally travel the world. Maybe it's simply the joy of knowing you uncovered something extraordinary, a secret piece of American history hiding in plain sight. This isn't just about coins. It's about possibility, about training your eyes to see what others overlook. Every collector starts somewhere, with curiosity, a magnifying glass, and a sense of wonder. Some start small and end up building million-dollar collections. Others make one incredible find and change their lives forever. Let's build some momentum here, because this is the part most people miss. The coin market isn't static. It's alive, shifting, and driven by emotion, history, and scarcity. When a coin like the 1989 P. Roosevelt dime hits headlines for fetching $841,000, it sparks a chain reaction. Suddenly, collectors everywhere are combing through their change. Auction houses get flooded with submissions, and the value of all related coins, the ones even close in quality, start climbing too. So while you might not have the exact $1 million dime, you could still own one worth hundreds or even thousands. That's why education is everything. Knowing how to grade your coins, how to spot those subtle errors, and where to get them authenticated can make all the difference. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC can verify your coin's authenticity and assign it a grade that directly influences its market value. Without certification, your coin is just a guess. With it, it's an asset. Now here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. What if I told you that experts believe there may still be a handful of undiscovered 1989 P. Roosevelt dimes out there, possibly even ones that could surpass the $841,000 record? They're out there, tucked away in forgotten collections, buried in boxes of loose change, waiting for the right pair of eyes. Could one of those belong to you? That's the thrill of the hunt, the blend of fear and excitement that keeps this world alive. The fear of missing out on a fortune, and the excitement of knowing it's still possible. It's what turns ordinary people into treasure hunters. So tonight, when you get home, don't ignore that jar of coins sitting by the door. Pour them out. Spread them across the table. Grab a magnifying glass and start looking closely. Because that one small act, paying attention, could change everything. Remember this: history rewards the curious. And sometimes wealth hides in the smallest places. The 1989 P. Roosevelt dime isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value, if only we take the time to look. If you've ever dreamed of discovering hidden wealth, of unlocking the secrets that others overlook, this is your call to action. Start searching, start learning, and who knows, you might just be holding your $1 million moment in the palm of your hand. Because in the end, it's not just about finding a valuable coin. It's about finding proof that incredible things can happen to anyone willing to look closer. The next great discovery could be yours. Don't let it slip away. It all started like many modern treasures do, accidentally. A man in Phoenix, Arizona, picked up a handful of change at a convenience store. He didn't think much of it until he noticed something peculiar about one of the dimes. It had no mint mark. Now, for most people, that's just a small missing letter. But for coin collectors, the absence of a mint mark can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. And that was just the beginning of this incredible mystery. The Roosevelt dime has been an American icon since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the man who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. Every year since then, millions of these dimes have been minted. Usually you can find a tiny letter above the date, a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. But the 2015 no mint mark dime, that's different. There was never supposed to be one. Officially, all 2015 Roosevelt dimes from Philadelphia should have had the P mint mark. So when one surfaced without it, the coin world went wild. Experts believe this rare coin resulted from a minting error, an event so rare it's almost like lightning striking twice. The die, the piece of metal used to stamp the coin's design, was likely missing the mint mark when the batch was produced. These errors are nearly impossible to detect during mass production, making them extremely scarce. Scarcity is what drives value in the coin world, and this one is the perfect storm of rarity, timing, and historical fascination. Before we go deeper, take a second and think. When was the last time you really looked at your change? Not just grabbed it from the counter, but really examined it? Because if this story tells us anything, it's that opportunity sometimes hides in plain sight, in the palm of your hand. Now, let's talk about what makes this particular dime so exceptional. Unlike ordinary coins, which are valued primarily by their metal content, rare coins are prized for their uniqueness. The 2015 no mint mark Roosevelt dime has captured attention because of its anomaly, its perfect condition, and the curiosity surrounding how it slipped through the U.S. Mint's meticulous quality control. Some experts have even called it the ghost dime, because of how mysteriously it appeared, and how few examples have ever been verified. The first verified specimen graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, fetched an eye-watering $228,000 in a private auction. That sale sent shockwaves across the numismatic community. Suddenly, collectors, investors, and everyday Americans began scouring through their spare change. Because who wouldn't? Imagine trading a dime for a down payment on your dream home. That's not just luck, it's history in your pocket. Now, before you rush to empty every coin jar in your house, let's talk about how to identify one of these elusive treasures. The 2015 no mint mark dime looks almost identical to a regular Roosevelt dime, but here's what you need to check. First, look closely at the area above the date. You should see a tiny letter P. If it's missing, your heart might start racing, but don't celebrate just yet. You'll need to confirm that it's truly from the Philadelphia Mint and not just a worn-out or damaged coin. Use a magnifying glass, good lighting, and compare it to another dime from the same year. If your coin is perfectly struck, in mint condition, and missing the mint mark, you might have just stumbled upon one of the rarest coins in modern U.S. history. Here's the thrilling part. Stories have emerged of people finding similar errors tucked away in their loose change, only to discover they were holding something worth tens of thousands. Imagine that moment. The shock, the disbelief, the excitement. That's the kind of story that fuels the dreams of collectors everywhere. And for those who recognize the signs, the reward can be life-changing. But let's pause for a moment. Because while this story is exciting, it also carries a powerful lesson about value, opportunity, and awareness. How many treasures have we overlooked because we didn't pay attention? How many chances have slipped by unnoticed? The 2015 Roosevelt dime is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest worth. As the buzz around this coin grew, more and more people began to explore the hidden wealth in their coin collections. Online forums lit up. Auction houses received floods of inquiries. Coin dealers started offering free appraisals to the public. It became more than a curiosity, it became a movement. Americans, young and old, started rediscovering the stories behind their coins, learning that those old jars of pennies, nickels, and dimes might contain tiny pieces of history worth life-changing sums. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The value of these rare dimes continues to fluctuate as demand surges. Right now, the highest known sale is $228,000, but experts predict that as fewer examples surface, the value could climb even higher. The laws of supply and demand never lie. With so few known specimens and millions of people searching, the stakes couldn't be higher. In fact, some collectors are calling it the modern-day gold rush, except instead of digging through dirt, people are digging through drawers. Here's a question for you. What would you do if you found one? Would you sell it immediately and take the cash? Or would you hold on to it, watching its value climb as time goes on? That decision could define your financial future, and it's not one to take lightly. Because in the world of rare coins, timing is everything. The right sale at the right moment can mean the difference between thousands and millions. Of course, not every no-mint mark dime is worth a fortune. Some fakes have surfaced. Cleverly altered coins with mint marks intentionally removed. But genuine specimens have certain traits that experts can easily authenticate, like die patterns, metal composition, and microscopic details invisible to the naked eye. That's why, if you suspect you have one, it's critical to have it professionally graded by a recognized authority like PCGS or NGC. Their certification is what turns a potential curiosity into a verified treasure. Let's inject a little humor. For a second, you might be laughing now, imagining yourself squinting at dimes under a lamp while your family asks if you've lost your mind. But hey, if one of those dimes ends up being worth six figures, who's laughing then? As fascinating as this coin is, its story reflects something bigger. The idea that value is everywhere, often disguised as something ordinary. It's a wake-up call to pay attention, to question the obvious, and to never underestimate what you have. Every great fortune starts with a discovery, and sometimes that discovery fits in your palm. By now, you might be feeling a mix of curiosity, excitement, and maybe even a little urgency. Because the truth is, rare coins like this don't stay hidden forever. The more people who know about them, the fewer chances there are to find one. So if you've ever thought about going through your old change, now is the time. The opportunity might literally be sitting in a jar waiting for you to notice. And let's be honest, we all dream of financial freedom. The ability to live comfortably, travel when we want, take care of our families, and never worry about bills again. But most people believe that wealth only comes through hard work or luck. What if it also comes from awareness? From knowing what to look for? From taking a closer look at what you already have? That's the hidden message behind this rare dime. It's not just a story about money. It's a story about paying attention to life's small details and how they can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Picture this. One day, you're sitting at your kitchen table sorting through coins you've collected over the years. You pick up a dime that feels just a little different. You look closer, your heart starts to race, and you realize you're holding one of the rarest coins in America. That moment could change everything. And yes, these discoveries still happen today. As of now, verified 2015 no mint mark Roosevelt dimes remain among the most valuable modern errors ever produced. Collectors compete fiercely for them, and as time passes, as fewer are found, the price only climbs. Just think. 10 cents turned into $228,000. If that doesn't make you want to start searching, what will? Here's the thing. This isn't just about dimes. It's about rediscovering the hidden potential in the ordinary. Whether it's coins, collectibles, or even forgotten hobbies, treasures surround us every day. The key is knowing where to look and believing that you can find them. So before this video ends, take this as your sign. Go check your coins. Revisit that old collection from your grandparents. Search the change in your car, your drawers, even under the couch cushions. Because the next great discovery might already belong to you. You just haven't found it yet. Remember, opportunities don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, quietly waiting for the right eyes to notice. The 2015 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark is proof of that. Proof that even the smallest coin can hold the power to transform your life. And if you do find one, don't keep it a secret. Share your story, inspire others, and remind the world that fortune favors those who look closer. Because in a world where everyone is chasing big things, sometimes the smallest discovery makes the biggest difference. So the next time you hold a dime in your hand, take a moment. Look closely. Because what seems ordinary may just be extraordinary. Your life-changing coin might already be in your pocket.
You might be asking yourself, how on earth could a coin minted in 1975 be that rare? Let me tell you, it's all about survival, rarity, and condition. Among millions, only a handful are alive, in near-perfect state. With no blemishes, original luster intact, and perhaps some unique die or planchet variation. That scarcity combined with collector demand drives the price to stratospheric levels. Pause for a second. What if you or someone you know owns a 1975 dime that's never been touched, never been circulated, maybe even tucked away in a safety deposit box? You might be looking at your first $1 million find. Did I just give you goosebumps? But let me take you behind the scenes, expose the hidden mechanics of how that $903,000 number came to be. Because knowing the story is key to believing and acting, the journey of this coin's valuation begins with authentication. When that rare 1975 no-mint mark dime appeared at auction, grading experts at major services like PCGs or NGC had to examine it meticulously under microscopes. Measure weight, inspect edges, look for hairlines, scratches, any hint of wear. One stray imperfection knocks thousands off instantly. Only coins with perfect eye appeal and zero wear get top-tier grades like 1000s, 70, or PR-70. Then there's provenance. Where did this coin come from? Was it part of a legendary collection? Did it sit in a time capsule untouched for decades? Stories behind coins add emotional weight. Collectors love buying not just rare coins but artifacts with stories. That provenance helps push the price from 6 figures into 7. Then bidding war dynamics take over. When 2 or more wealthy collectors are desperate to outbid each other, the final hammer can soar. In that recent sale, bidders pushed the price upward like rockets launching it, adding tens of thousands, then hundreds, until the gavel fell near $903,000. But here's where your mind should race. That one sale sets a benchmark not just for that coin, but for the market. Other rare 1975 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dimes or dime varieties near that tier now hang in comparison. If yours is even slightly less pristine, it could fetch 6 or 7 digits. If it's perfect, it might be even more. Let me ask you a question. If you found such a coin tomorrow, would you believe you could sell it? Or would you brush it off, calling it just change? That decision, callous ignorance or bold belief, could be your defining moment. Now let's explore how many such coins might exist out there. The hidden supply. The fewer that survive in top condition, the more explosive their value becomes. Consider this: in the 1970s, coin collectors were just warming up. Many Roosevelt dimes were handled, cleaned, buffed, even defaced. Nicer specimens were kept, but over time some were exposed to elements, humidity, improper storage. Only a tiny percentage maintained flawless condition, and among those, only a fraction avoided damage. That leaves a very thin float of pristine survivors. So when one comes to market, it's a big event. We've seen parallels before. Think of the 1943 copper penny, or 1913 V nickel ones considered ordinary, but over decades proved extremely rare and sold for millions. The same forces condition scarcity, buyer competition, and collector passion are in play. What makes the 1975 no-mint mark dime different is its recency. It defies expectations. A coin from the modern era, yet commanding extreme value. Imagine waking up and discovering one in your change. The emotional rollercoaster, disbelief, elation, nausea, fear of losing it. But now, picture what you could do with that. Pay off your mortgage, start a legacy, secure generational wealth. That's not hyperbole, it's real, but here's a reality check. A pattern interrupt. No, you won't get rich just from littering your couch cushions with dimes. Most 1975 dimes are worthless beyond face value. There's no guarantee you have that 1 in a million specimen. But if you suspect you might, you must act. Let me tell you what to look for. How to identify whether your 1975 dime is potentially one of those $1 million specimens. First, mint mark. A typical 1975 dime, minted in Philadelphia, has no mint mark. That's exactly what makes this variety possible. The Denver ones carry a D. The San Francisco proofs carry SON. Lead the no mint mark specimens are candidates for that exceptional valuation. Second condition. You need the luster. No wear, no scratches. No cleaning. Original surfaces. If your coin is dull, bent, scratched, or cleaned, it's likely just a collectible of moderate value, not a contender for hundreds of thousands. Third. Proof versus circulation strike. If it's a proof coin, it should bear very sharp lines, mirrored fields, and exceptional detail. But many proof dimes from that era have S-mint marks, so the no mint mark proof is particularly special. A top-grade proof, untouched, could command a premium. Fourth. Die varieties or anomalies. Sometimes, coins were struck with slight die errors, doubling, repunched mint marks, weird planchette flaws. Those quirks can boost value even more. If your coin has something odd or off, an expert might spot it. Once you find one or suspect it, don't drop it in a cup of water to clean it. Don't polish it. Don't let kids play with it. Store it in inert holders, temperature stable, low humidity, and consult a grade service. The grading process is costly, but for a coin that might go for 6 or 7 figures, it's a small price to pay. By now, you're likely asking, what chance do I have of owning one of these? The answer, slim, but that doesn't mean zero. Many heirs, estate sales, long-forgotten coin collections, safe deposit boxes, attic stashes all remain untapped. There's a good chance such a coin is sitting unnoticed, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a bit of belief to spot it. And here's where urgency comes back, because each auction sale raises the bar. The more the market for top specimens grows, the fewer leftover bargains exist. The longer you wait, the more people become alert, swapping coins for better grades, honing in on hidden treasures. Opportunities to find undervalued million-dollar dimes will diminish. If you suspect you own one, now is the time to act, not tomorrow. Don't tell me you'll think about it later. That's how fortunes are lost. Let me share a brief story, call it a micro case study, of someone who stumbled on gold. A retired teacher inherited a box of coins from her grandfather. Inside, she found a 1975 dime, no mint mark, clean, shiny, and unassuming. She took it to a coin shop local. The clerk dismissed it as common. She left. A month later, on a hunch, she sent it to a major grading service and learned it came back as PR70. It got listed. Bidders from around the world descended. She ended up selling it for over $850,000. She used the proceeds to travel, support her grandchildren's education, and live with freedom. That turned a quiet coin into a life-changing windfall. That could be your story. But before you go spending all your time digging through coin jars, let me walk you through the steps you need to take, how to maximize your chances and protect your interest. First, inventory. Gather every dime, go through your collection, inheritance boxes, safety deposit boxes, don't skip drawers or hidden shelves. There's no harm in looking. Second, preliminary screening. Use a jeweler's loupe. Check for mint mark. Check for wear. Separate coins that appear flawless or unusual. Third, consult experts. Even if a local shop says, nah, it's just a dime, don't trust that. Submit your top candidates to major grading services like PCG, NGC, or ANACS. Pay for expert review to see whether full encapsulation is warranted. Fourth, get professional photography and description. When listing or auctioning, clear high-res images, proper historical context, provenance, if any, all help push buyers. Contests of emotion win. Fifth, and this is critical, time your sale perfectly. Don't rush into selling via eBay or a coin shop. Plan an auction with major houses, advertise to elite collectors, build buzz. Let value drive itself. Sixth, protect yourself. Get legal contracts, secure shipment, insured transport. Millions of dollars attract risk. Don't skip security. Through these steps, you transform a potentially forgotten dime into a rare trophy, something collectors will fight for. If you're still with me, here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. What if the coin you already own is the one? Not a dream, not a fantasy, but reality. I want you to imagine waking up in 6 months. You've submitted your 1975 no mint mark dime to grading. It comes back with a perfect grade, hits auction, and a bidder pays $900,000. What would you do with that money? Quit your job. Invest in real estate. Travel the world. Launch your dream business. Pay off debt. Give legacy to family. That vision can become your reality, but it won't happen by accident. It requires you to take those first steps. Because the moment you let it sit idle, the market will keep moving forward and opportunities slip through your fingers. Here's my concluding call to action. If you own or suspect you own a 1975 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, and it looks pristine, don't wait. Get it in the hands of experts this week. Document everything. Don't let fear or doubt stop you. Even if it's a long shot, the possible upside is life-altering. Sometimes the biggest discoveries happen when nobody thinks it's possible. You have coins in drawers. You have history in your hands. You have a chance to turn overlooked metal into generational wealth. But the clock is ticking, so dig, examine, submit, and maybe, just maybe, your ordinary dime is the one that fetches $900,000 or more. Stay alert, stay bold, and let your faith in possibility carry you to that moment where the gavel falls into your future, changes forever. But here's the twist. Very few people even know this coin exists, and even fewer know why it's commanding such jaw-dropping prices. So, if you've ever wondered whether your old coins could hold a secret fortune, stay with me until the end of this video, because by the time we're done, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. Let's start with a simple truth. Every coin tells a story. And sometimes, those stories are worth a lifetime of financial freedom. Back in 1997, the United States Mint produced over 1 billion Roosevelt dimes. Most of them were common ordinary pocket change destined to pass through vending machines and cash registers unnoticed. But among that massive run, something strange happened at the Denver Mint. A small number of dimes left the facility with a microscopic flaw, barely visible to the naked eye, but enough to turn them into numismatic legends. Collectors began noticing tiny variations, minute differences in the strike, the finish, and the spacing of the mint mark. At first, nobody thought much of it. After all, who studies dimes under a magnifying glass, right? But over time, those with a keen eye realized what they had stumbled upon: a rare variation of the 1997 Roosevelt dime, so scarce that examples have fetched prices upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's where it gets fascinating. The 1997D dime doesn't just owe its value to rarity. It represents a perfect storm of scarcity, mystery, and timing. In coin collecting, those three forces can transform metal into money, lots of it. But let's pause for a moment. When was the last time you actually checked your change? Be honest. Most of us have coffee cans, jars, or drawers filled with coins we never look at. We assume they're worthless. Yet, hidden among them could be the financial opportunity of a lifetime. Think about it. How many people dream of finding treasure but never search for it? It's a bit ironic, isn't it? The difference between broke and blessed might be sitting inside your kitchen drawer right now. The Roosevelt dime, first minted in 1946, was meant to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. After his death, his image replaced the Mercury dime, and it quickly became one of the most circulated coins in American history. Over the decades, billions have been minted, but only a handful ever become extraordinary. The 1997D is one of those few. So what exactly makes the 1997D so special? In high-grade condition, meaning the coin is nearly flawless under magnification, it becomes a collector's dream. The coin's surfaces show sharp detail, full torch lines on the reverse, and a perfect strike from the Denver Mint dies. The Mint State's 68 and 69 grades are incredibly rare. But if you ever come across one graded MS-70, the absolute peak hit could be worth more than $800,000 today. You might be wondering, who decides this value? The answer lies in two words: supply and demand. Collectors crave perfection, and when a coin is both rare and flawless, competition gets fierce. Auction houses have seen intense bidding wars over just one dime, each collector determined to own a piece of American minting history. And that's where the emotion kicks in. For many, it's not just about the coin, it's about the chase, the thrill of the hunt, the dream that one day, an overlooked coin could transform an ordinary person into someone financially free. If you've ever felt the frustration of working hard yet never feeling ahead, imagine turning that around with something as small as a dime. It's not just a fantasy, it's a reminder that opportunities often hide in plain sight. But let's not get carried away just yet. Not every 1997D dime is worth six figures. You need to know what to look for. Here's the checklist serious collectors use. First, the mint mark. The D should be crisp and well-centered. If it's faint, off-center, or appears doubled, you could be looking at a valuable mint error. Second, the condition. Look for coins that have sharp details and little to no scratches, or wear, preferably ones that have been stored safely rather than circulated. Third, professional grading. A coin that's been authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC can command exponentially higher prices. Let's sprinkle a little humor here. Imagine the look on the cashier's face if you handed them an $888,000 dime for a cup of coffee. Talk about overpaying for caffeine. But jokes aside, this isn't about coffee money. This is about mindset. People often overlook small things, literally and figuratively, that could make them wealthy. And the coin market rewards those who pay attention to details. So, what's happening in the market right now? As of this year, the coin collecting world is booming. Baby boomers and Gen X collectors are rediscovering the passion of numismatics, while younger investors are recognizing coins as tangible assets in an uncertain economy. That demand is driving prices higher, especially for rare coins like the 1997D Roosevelt dime. Auction data shows consistent upward trends. The highest recorded sale reached nearly $900,000, and the trajectory remains bullish. Experts predict that as surviving examples dwindle, prices could surge even higher. In other words, the best time to check your collection is now. But here's a little cliffhanger for you. There's a mystery surrounding how these dimes escaped the mint. Were they part of a special test strike, a small batch error, or something else entirely? The mint never confirmed the origin, adding to the intrigue and fueling the legend. Every time one surfaces, the story deepens and the value climbs. Think of it like a secret society of coins. Only a few exist, and those who find them enter an exclusive club of collectors who turned curiosity into fortune. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this matter to you? Because finding and selling rare coins isn't just about luck, it's about awareness. It's about realizing that wealth isn't always something you chase. Sometimes, it's something you already possess but haven't recognized yet. Let's say you're someone with a small coin collection, maybe inherited from a parent or grandparent. You've never given it much thought. But after watching this video, you decide to take a closer look. You pull out a magnifying glass, maybe download a coin identification app, and you find that tiny D mark on a 1997 dime that's been sitting in your drawer for years. You send it in for grading, and it comes back as a near-perfect mint state. You list it at auction, and suddenly, your name is on the headline of a numismatic news article. One simple coin changes everything. That's not a fantasy, that's a decision away. But let's talk about the flip side for a moment. Fear. The fear of missing out. The fear that you might have had something valuable and let it slip away. It happens more often than you think. People spend rare coins without realizing their worth. A simple dime worth thousands spent at a gas station. That's not just a missed opportunity, it's a tragedy in pocket change. So ask yourself, what would you do if you discovered a coin worth $888,000 in your possession? Would you sell it immediately and retire a debt? Or hold on to it, watching its value grow as it becomes even rarer over time? There's no wrong answer, only the power of awareness. Now, before you rush to dig through every jar of change in your home, remember this. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. Don't underestimate what you already have. Some of the most valuable coins ever found came from everyday people who simply paid attention. And if you're wondering how to start, it's simple. Begin by organizing your coins by year and mint mark. Focus on dimes, quarters, and pennies from the 20th centuries, especially those from the Denver and San Francisco mints. Check for misprints, doubling, and minting errors. And when in doubt, get a professional opinion. A small investment in grading could reveal life-changing value. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you allowed yourself to dream? To imagine that a forgotten coin could open doors to a wealthier life? Sometimes, wealth doesn't come from working harder. It comes from seeing differently. Coins like the 1997D Roosevelt dime remind us that fortune favors the observant. They're proof that tiny details can make massive differences. And maybe that's the real message here. Every person has a 1997D moment waiting to be discovered, something small, overlooked, but incredibly valuable once recognized. It might not be a coin. It might be an idea, a talent, or a hidden asset. The key is paying attention before it's too late. So, take this as your sign. Go through your old coins. Open those dusty boxes. You might find more than metal, you might find freedom. And when you do, remember this story. Remember that one man's dime became another man's destiny. Because the truth is, opportunity doesn't always come wrapped in gold bars or stock portfolios. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to notice. Before we close, here's a final thought. The 1997D Roosevelt dime isn't just a collector's treasure, it's a symbol. A reminder that extraordinary value often hides inside ordinary things, so the next time you hear the clink of change, don't just ignore it. Listen closely. It might be your future calling. Because somewhere out there, someone is about to discover that their humble dime is worth $888,000. And the only question left is, will it be you? Before you laugh it off, remember, this history has shown time and again that the most extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary places. The attic, the basement, that coffee can your grandparents used for spare change. These are the places where forgotten fortunes sleep. And in this story, the hero isn't a pirate or a Wall Street investor. It's a coin barely larger than your fingertip. To understand why this humble dime has become a symbol of modern-day luck, let's rewind to 1999, a year of transition, anticipation, and uncertainty. The world was preparing for the new millennium. Technology was booming. People feared the Y2K bug would crash everything from computers to planes. Amid this chaos, the Philadelphia Mint quietly struck millions of Roosevelt dimes. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Until decades later, collectors began to notice something remarkable. Some of those dimes, bearing the tiny P mark just above the date, were unlike any others. They weren't made of silver, yet they shone brighter. They weren't rare by mintage numbers, but by something else, an extraordinary combination of condition, die variety, and pure luck. Imagine finding one of these pristine coins, untouched by time, its details razor-sharp, its surfaces flawless. Under magnification, the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch gleam like tiny sculptures. Such perfection is what coin graders call a mint state. And the higher that state, the higher the value. A 1999p Roosevelt dime graded MS68 or higher can command astronomical prices. The finest known examples have ignited bidding wars at prestigious auctions, with collectors battling not for 10 cents, but for history, prestige, and the bragging rights that come with owning the best. But let's pause for a moment. Why would anyone pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a dime most people would spend without a second thought? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, and psychology. Coin collecting, known as numismatics, is not just a hobby. It's an obsession fueled by scarcity and beauty. When something is common, it's overlooked. When it's rare, it's priceless. And here's the twist: most of these valuable dimes didn't survive in perfect shape. Think about it. How many dimes from 1999 are still mint? Most have been dropped, scuffed, and scraped through decades of circulation. The few that remain, sealed in mint sets or stashed away by someone who felt they looked. special have become time capsules of perfection. There's a famous story in collector circles about a man who, while sorting through his father's coin jar after he passed away, found a shiny 1999p dime that looked different. He almost spent it on coffee but decided to have it checked. That decision changed his life. The coin, graded by the professional coin grading service as MS68, sold at auction for over $800,000. Overnight, that ordinary dime became a key to generational wealth. Now, let me ask you, when was the last time you really looked at your change? You might be thinking, come on, it's just a dime. But that's exactly the kind of mindset that lets fortune slip away unnoticed. In the world of coins, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story can rewrite your financial future. Let's dive deeper. The 1999p Roosevelt dime's incredible value isn't random. It's the product of human precision and imperfection colliding. When diced metal stamps used to imprint coin designs wear out or are replaced, subtle differences can occur. A tiny doubling in the lettering, a shift in the torch lines, or an unusually strong strike can create a variety that collectors crave. Combine that with immaculate condition, and you have what experts call a conditional rarity. Conditional rarity means that out of millions of coins, only a handful exist in the highest possible grades. Think of it like this. Millions of people own cars, but how many still have a flawless 1967 Mustang in showroom condition? The same logic applies here. It's not about how many were radiates, about how many survived perfectly. Now here's where it gets even more thrilling. The market for these coins isn't static. It's alive. Prices can surge overnight when a new discovery or record sale grabs headlines. The $881,000 figure you hear about today wasn't always the case. Years ago, that same coin might have fetched tens of thousands, still impressive, but not life-changing. Today, the hunger for high-grade modern coins has exploded, driven by collectors, investors, and even hedge funds viewing rare coins as alternative assets. And it's not just dimes. Pennies, nickels, quarters all have their hidden gems. The question is, are you paying attention? There's a powerful emotional undercurrent here. People don't just collect coins for money. They collect them for meaning. Each coin represents a moment in history, a piece of craftsmanship, a connection to the past. For some, finding a rare dime is like uncovering a secret handshake with history itself. But here's the fear factor. The one that keeps coin enthusiasts awake at night. For every person who found a six-figure coin, countless others spent one unknowingly. Imagine using an $881,000 dime to buy a candy bar. It sounds funny, until you realize it could happen to anyone. Every time you drop coins into a tip jar, a vending machine, or a parking meter, you might be letting go of a fortune. So what can you do? First, start looking. Grab a magnifying glass and check every 1999 dime you have, especially those with the P mint mark. Look for sharp details, clean surfaces, and full strikes. If you think you've found something special, don't rush to spend it. Get it graded by a professional. Service like PCGs or NGC, a small investment in authentication can make the difference between 10 cents and 10 years of financial security. But even if you don't find a treasure today, don't be discouraged. This journey is about more than money, it's about awareness. The moment you start seeing value where others see ordinary, your world changes. You begin to notice opportunities everywhere, in your wallet, your attic, your memories. That's how wealth begins, not with luck, but with vision. And speaking of vision, let's think big. Imagine what $881,000 could mean for you. Maybe it's paying off the mortgage. Maybe it's traveling the world, finally starting that business, or giving your children the life you dreamed of. That's the power locked inside a single coin. The potential for transformation, sitting quietly in your pocket. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Sure, that's great for someone else, but I'll never find something like that. But let me tell you a truth, every collector knows fortune favors the curious. The person who bothers to look, to learn, to care just a little more, is the one who wins. Every great discovery started with someone asking, what if? And who knows? Maybe right now, as you're listening, there's a small pile of coins nearby. Maybe one of them holds the spark that changes your story. Go ahead after this video, check, because if you don't, someone else will. Let's add a dash of humor to lighten the mood. Imagine walking into a coffee shop, buying a latte, and handing over an $881,000 dime. The barista smiles, gives you change, and drops it in the register. Meanwhile, the cash drawer just became the most valuable place in the city. Sounds absurd, but history is full of stories just like that. Don't be the punchline of your own story. The coin market today is evolving fast. Platforms like heritage auctions and great collections regularly feature modern coins, fetching 6- and 7-figure sums. Investors who once dismissed pocket change are now diversifying portfolios with rare dimes, nickels, and quarters. Why? Because coins are tangible, historic, and resistant to economic swings. In times of uncertainty, real assets shine brighter. What's more real than metal stamped by history itself? As we move toward the close, let's return to where we began with that simple, powerful idea. A single dime changing everything. It's not just about the coin. It's about perspective. When you start to see the hidden value in what you already possess, your entire relationship with wealth changes. We live in a world obsessed with chasing more money, more status, more things. But sometimes, the path to abundance begins with rediscovering what's already in your hands. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. It reminds us that fortune doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from the bottom of a drawer. And let's not forget the urgency here. Every year that passes, more coins are lost, damaged, or melted down. The pool of perfect specimens shrinks, driving values even higher. That means the best time to search is now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, take 10 minutes to look through your change. Search your old jars, your glove compartment, the boxes you haven't opened in years. You never know what stories and fortunes are waiting to be discovered. Because somewhere out there, another 1999 P. Roosevelt dime is waiting for its moment to shine. And maybe, just maybe, it's sitting in your pocket right now. If this story sparked something in you, curiosity, excitement, even a little envy, that means you're ready to see the world differently. Remember, wealth isn't always about earning more. It's about noticing more. The next time you pick up a coin, don't just see 10 cents. See potential, see possibility. See the quiet power of history, value, and luck colliding in the palm of your hand. After all, the next millionaire might not be holding a stock portfolio or a startup idea. They might just be holding a dime. It all began, as most incredible discoveries do, with a stroke of pure luck. In 2005, millions of Roosevelt dimes were minted at the Philadelphia Mint, signified by the tiny P mark just beside Roosevelt's neck. Most were ordinary. Billions of them entered circulation, jingling in pockets and purses across the nation. But among those billions, a microscopic few, perhaps just a handful, were struck with a minting error so subtle and so rare that even professional coin graders were left stunned. One collector, rummaging through a pile of coins, noticed a slight shimmer, an unusual texture on the coin's surface. He sent it for grading, expecting perhaps a $10 find. What came back was beyond belief, an ultra-rare 2005 P. Roosevelt dime in pristine condition, carrying an error unseen in modern minting history. That coin later sold for $874,000. Now, before you shake your head and think, that could never happen to me, consider this: most million-dollar coin stories begin exactly this way. Ordinary people, spare change, a moment of curiosity, and the courage to take a closer look. So why this particular dime? Why 2005? To understand that, we need to dive into the fascinating world of mint errors and rarities, to engines that drive coin values into the stratosphere. In 2005, the US Mint transitioned between different die systems and metal compositions, leading to a very small number of dimes being struck with a misaligned die or double rim. Some were struck on planchettes intended for foreign coins. Others exhibited mirror-like proof surfaces, despite being released as circulation strikes. When these anomalies appear, collectors go wild because rarity and condition together create the holy grail of numismatics. Here's where things get even more thrilling. The 2005p dime that sold for nearly $900,000 wasn't the result of celebrity ownership or a historical quirk. It was pure numismatic perfection, flawless surfaces, blazing luster, and a mint error that only a few eyes in the world could spot. It was graded MS69 by PCG ESA, nearly impossible condition for a coin struck for circulation. Think of it like finding a diamond in a gravel pit, technically possible, but astronomically rare. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because if you're watching this right now, you could very well have a piece of that hidden fortune. It might be sitting in a jar on your dresser, in an old coin roll you haven't checked in years, or at the bottom of your car's cup holder. The next great discovery isn't sitting in a museum, it's waiting for someone like you to recognize its worth. But here's the catch. These coins aren't easy to spot. The 2005p Roosevelt dime looks, at first glance, just like every other dime in your change. So how do you tell if yours might be worth a fortune? Start by checking for the P mint mark on the right side of Roosevelt's neck, just above the date. Then, under a bright light or magnifying glass, look for mirror-like surfaces. These are proof-like strikes. Examine the rim for doubling or a faint second outline. A small difference can mean the difference between 10 cents and nearly $1 million. Collectors often overlook one crucial factor: condition. Coins that have been circulated, scratched, or worn down lose much of their potential value. But an uncirculated dime, one that still gleams like new, could command astronomical prices if it carries a rare die variety. That's why experts always say never clean your coins. You might think you're helping, but cleaning can destroy microscopic details that prove authenticity and originality. Now, let's step back for a moment. Why are people willing to pay so much for a dime? After all, it's just 10 cents. But here's where human psychology meets the market. Rare coins are more than metal, they're time capsules, artifacts of history, and symbols of status. For collectors, owning something that only a handful of people on Earth can claim gives a sense of prestige that money alone can't buy. And when a coin like the 2005p Roosevelt dime hits the auction block, emotions run high. Wealthy bidders compete, prices skyrocket, and history is made dash again. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The smallest coin becoming the symbol of wealth and possibility. The kind of story that makes you think twice before tossing your spare change into a vending machine. But here's the part that should make you sit up straight. Every year, new varieties are discovered, sometimes by total beginners. The US Mint produces billions of coins, and despite modern technology, errors still slip through. So yes, you could find one. And yes, it could change everything. Of course, with opportunity comes urgency. Once stories like this go public, the market reacts fast. Collectors start hunting, coin rolls disappear from banks, and sellers flood online marketplaces hoping to cash in. But only those who truly understand what they're looking for, those who take the time to learn, to inspect, to verify, will strike gold, or in this case, silver dot. And just to reset your focus for a second, think about how wild it is that people throw away opportunities worth hundreds of thousands of dollars every single day. How many times have you walked past a dime on the sidewalk? Maybe next time, you'll bend down and take a closer look. Because now you know better. Let's get practical for a moment. If you suspect you might have one of these rare 2005p dimes, don't rush to sell it. First, protect it. Handle it by the edges, preferably with cotton gloves. Place it in a coin holder or airtight capsule. Then, take high-resolution photos and send them to a reputable grading service like PCG's or NGC for authentication. It's a small investment that could turn a 10-cent coin into a life-changing payout. And if your coin does have that unique error or extraordinary condition, you'll have something few people in the world can claim: a six-figure treasure, discovered in your own hands. And that's where the emotional side of this journey comes in. Imagine the feeling of holding something that most people would ignore. realizing it could pay off your debts, buy your dream home, or secure your family's future. That's not just money, that's transformation. That's the moment you go from someone who collects coins to someone who uncovers history. And it starts with a simple act, curiosity. But let's not pretend this is all luck. The people who find these treasures often share one key trait: they pay attention. They take the time to learn what others overlook. They treat every coin as a potential opportunity. So when they stumble upon a 2005p Roosevelt dime with perfect luster or a strange doubling on the rim, they don't toss it aside, they investigate. And that's what separates the dreamers from the discoverers. Still, I have to ask, how many opportunities have you missed because you thought something small wasn't worth your time? Sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest rewards. And this dime is proof literally. Now. Here's a twist you might not expect. The market for rare coins isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. With inflation, stock market volatility, and global uncertainty, collectors and investors alike are turning to tangible assets: gold, silver, and yes, rare coins. A coin like the 2005p Roosevelt dime isn't just valuable because it's rare, it's valuable because it represents stability in an uncertain world. That's why the demand is surging, and why the next discovery could easily surpass that $874,000 benchmark. So what should you do right now? Start by checking your coins. Empty your drawers, your old jars, your coin collections from childhood. Look closely, research. Join online coin communities and compare photos. The moment you spot that perfect combination 2005 date, P mint mark, mirror finish, and immaculate condition, you could be staring at your financial turning point. And if you think this sounds too good to be true, remember this: every extraordinary story started as something unbelievable. A man in Pennsylvania once found a rare Roosevelt dime missing its mint mark, sold for over $350,000 a 1968 menezesi. Proof dime with a minting anomaly fetched six figures. And now, the 2005p joins the ranks of legends, turning the smallest coin into the biggest opportunity of a lifetime. There's something profoundly symbolic about that. The Roosevelt dime was first minted in 1946. Honoring a president who guided America through the Great Depression, a time when every dime counted. And today, nearly 80 years later, one single dime can still change a life. It's as if history is whispering to those who pay attention. Fortune favors the curious. So here's your moment of decision. Will you keep scrolling, or will you take a few minutes to inspect what's already in your possession? Because while most people chase wealth by looking ahead, the wise ones find it by looking closer. And maybe, just maybe, the next coin that passes through your fingers isn't just spare change, it's a legacy waiting to be uncovered. Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and remember this truth: fortune doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes, it jingles softly in your pocket.